Hey there, this is James Wolfen from Twin City Seed Company, and today I want to talk about how you can conserve natural resources within your own home lawn. Now, typically when I'm talking about the conservation of natural resources within the context of a lawn, I'm talking about bee lawns, which have the incredible potential to conserve both pollinators and natural resources by simply adding low-growing flowers to one's lawn. That being said, I do want to recognize that some folks might be afraid of pollinators or even allergic to pollinators, or they might simply want to keep the pollinator conservation to their gardens while maintaining their lawns in a more traditional manner for recreation, for aesthetics, for whatever their reason may be. Now, when we're talking about the conservation of natural resources within a home lawn, there's really three different forms of management that we're keying in on: fertilizer use, mowing, and irrigation. And when we start to consider that there's about 50,000 square miles of turf grass in the continental US, we can start to see just how big of a difference we can make by simply altering our management practices. And really, the name of the game here is species selection, where there are certain species of turfgrass that are really suited for low input conditions. In fact, they thrive in low input conditions. And the fine fescues are a prime example of this, where their drought tolerance, their slow vertical growth rate, and their low fertility needs make the fine fescues a fantastic option for a low input lawn. To get a better understanding of just how much room for growth we have here, let's take a look at this graphic showing turfgrass species distribution here in the Twin Cities, where what should immediately jump out to you is this gigantic bar for the Kentucky bluegrass, which is by far the most prevalent species used here in the Twin Cities, and unfortunately it is a high maintenance species or a high input species. The fine fescues, which are the second most common species, are still trailing in a big way, where Kentucky bluegrass is about 60% more commonly used than the fine fescue turfs. Tall fescue, which is also a great option, is trailing even further behind, where we're looking at about 5% use here in the Twin Cities. To get a better understanding of just how much good we can do here, I want to quickly review this paper that was published in the Journal of Environmental Management, comparing carbon emissions in both low input and high input lawns. Now, what they were looking at was emissions in two different ways: emissions from fertilizer use and emissions from mowing. Now, when it comes to fertilizer use, the authors found that low input lawns had about 1/6 the emissions as compared to high input lawns, a huge difference. And even when it came to mowing, the high input lawns had double the emissions as compared to the low input lawns. In total, when looking at both the fertilizer use and the mowing, it was found that low input lawns have about 1/3 the management and carbon costs as compared to the high input lawns. To bring irrigation back into the fold here, let's look at some trials from the University of Minnesota's Turfgrass Science Lab, where a rainout shelter was used to simulate 45 days without rainfall or irrigation of any kind. And from this picture, you can see that the fine fescue really performs beautifully when it's denied water, whereas the Kentucky bluegrass really struggles and starts to go brown. And to get a sense of just how the Turfgrass Science Lab feels about fine fescue, let's take a look at their social media history, specifically their tweets, where we can see they are constantly praising the value, praising the quality of the fine fescues. The Turfgrass Science Lab at the University of Minnesota goes as far as to even literally sing the praises of fine fescue grass, changing around some lyrics to songs to talk about how much they love fine fescues. Now, here at Twin City Seed, what we try to do is stay in constant contact with the folks at the University of Minnesota Turfgrass Science Lab, stay up to date with the research going on around the country, and use that information to inform our turfgrass mixtures, where the low-growth fescue mixture pictured here uses all cultivars of fine fescue that thrive under low input conditions, where if you want to reduce how frequently you mow, how much you fertilize, how much you water, this is a perfect mix for those conditions. And to show our appreciation for the folks at the University of Minnesota's Turfgrass Science Lab, we donate 5% of our turfgrass seed sales back to the U to support the great research that they do there. Now, I hope you found this video informative, I hope you found it insightful, and I hope it helps you create a low-input lawn. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking or sharing or subscribing and sharing this information with your friends. Stay tuned for more content coming out shortly.